Early morning, South Arkansas Trill talk. Shit, got the mail coming up today, Eldorado Mail. Shit, I salute everybody that tuned in. Yeah, man, stand up on trying to anyway. I'm up early again, man. Shit, how y'all out there this morning, man? Just chilling and shit, man. Salute everybody I'm been on, man. The South Arkansas Trill talk. And shit, like I say, man, shit, we moving better directions. You know what I'm saying? Salute everybody out there. If you out there and you voting, man, get out and vote, man. If you can't vote, shit, find somebody that can, man. You know what I'm saying? Get somebody that, if you can take them to the polls out there, take them to the polls, man. Our youngsters, we way show must need to be in tune voting. What's up, Serena? Good morning out there. But yeah, man, you need to be trying to see what we can do for this, how we manage and maintain and, you know what I'm saying, stay on top of everything, man, so we can get some help out there, see what jobs required for the mail she can do out there. And if you got some answering person out there, man, I just want to give y'all that advice, you know what I'm saying, enlighten y'all, you know what I'm saying, and enlighten y'all in all areas of voting out there, from, you know what I'm saying, the governor to attorney general to, you know what I'm saying, lieutenant governor, shit, to even in your county, your aldermans, your city councils out there. You know, it's all about y'all, what kind of change you want to see and what change that involves the job title of what they is out there, because a lot of us be misconception or misconstrued or thinking what each branch can do and what person can do, basically like doing what they want, but sometimes it's not the best way. So I'm waiting on her representing, man. I'm up early, I guess, you know what I'm saying, I'm moving fast and I usually be late, but I'm gonna be early today, you know what I'm saying, 10 on that, man. But much love out there to those who watching and those, you know what I'm saying, pay attention to things that be going on in the world out there, man. And like I tell people, I just want to say, you know what I'm saying, Broomerville sometime, man, you got to let shit play all the way out. And you got to let, you know what I'm saying, things be what it's going to be, man. But a lot of people, you know, we get our information out there from the internet. Sometimes you got to let shit play out with all the truth that goes with them, you know what I'm saying. I'm going to bring her up, man. It's like, you know, we still out there moving, man, trying to groove through this madness I heard, you know what I'm saying, of things that be going on right in our own city, you know what I'm saying. But that's on us if we pay attention to the bottom grounds and, you know what I'm saying, we don't research shit or we don't get involved in nothing. We just be from the distance, and especially standing up for certain things and the anti-segment, like comments you make from here to there, or anti-sentiment, whatever they call it, Semitic, of what you feel or what you do, you know what I'm saying? You don't want to always be the minority trying to pull a point on the majority. Sometimes that don't work, and then you see how they strip things. And if you for yay, I salute you. If you're not for yay, I salute you out there. Because, you know, like I say, you have to wait till things play all the way out. You know, if they do one like that, ain't no telling how many more they'll do like that. But it's according to, man, if my screen out there, if it be feeling like it's, you barely can hear me out there, let me know sometime. Because, you know, I just want to get in and get updated on certain things that us as people, we have to pay attention to. But I relate down to what I'm saying out there, man, on us making a stand for things that we believe in and what the truth is these days. But sometimes the truth, you know what I'm saying, they say it always set us free, but sometimes will the truth really set us free? or we still be slaves in our circumstances or situations. But even looking at the truth right in our face and stuff, people don't never want to talk about the negative of certain things, and that's what our biggest problem is when it's time for us to stand up. Man, I'm just adding people in as I go. I'm waiting on her to come. You know what I'm saying? Got Veronica Smith-Creer up next. I salute her journey. I salute everybody that, you know what I'm saying, know her journey. And I salute everybody that, you know what I'm saying, constantly, you know what I'm saying, for her journey, because, you know, like I say, man, we ain't never just had our way on no way. There ain't nothing that we can do sometime on our journey of peace or prosperity or even just getting ahead in life with it. But like I say, man, a lot of us that goes with the, lives in the county, lives in the state, whatever, man. But I'm gonna get on up now. I think I got her. I think she said she was next. But all us live in the county. You know what I'm saying? We supposed. What's up, Phil? What's up, my nigga Katie out there? I see you. You know what I'm saying? All us live in the county. You know, everybody be wanting their way in the city. Everybody be wanting things to get done for them fast. But even if we got things done for us fast, how will we praise them? How will we make it better? Because sometimes when the ball passed in certain people's hand, they don't take hold of how to get past the ball. You know what I'm saying? But one thing about I want to say about this, like no matter what job title you do, sometimes you take certain job titles, you do it to get along people, and you take your time, you observe, and then sometimes you interact better like that when you observe. Shit, sometimes before you even get a chance to observe, if you don't go in sometime doing what the people expect you to do, shit, you already be criticized with already bad. Like, oh, when the bad part of certain shit, when it goes in there, it's supposed to come down to it, man, on how you handle it. I'm gonna bring on in, man, Veronica Smith-Creer out there. Much love to y'all out there. But watching, salute everybody that pay attention, and I salute early morning, Veronica Smith-Creer from El Dorado, out there, El Dorado, Arkansas, tuned in, South Arkansas Trill Talk. Hey.
Hey, how you doing?
All right. How you been doing?
I've been good. I've been good. Can you hear me okay?
Yeah, can you hear
Okay.
me?
I can. I can.
Let me know how to turn my music off.
I can't hear your music, but I can hear you.
Yeah, I done turned it off.
Oh,
Uh,
okay.
yeah, I was just touching bases on it, man, and I salute you last time. Oh, I have to go in where we fuzzed in that last time from you being a member of the boys club like me, and I was a
Yes,
member of the boys
yes.
club working down there and stuff, and basically pointing on being interacting with people a lot. You know what I'm saying? And I salute you now on being out like that and being in tune with the people. We gonna start there at first
Okay.
because you know how you have to when you take on a job. Sometimes you have to interact with people and get to know people in certain ways.
Yeah.
And before you even can get started good on being just going in on the observation mode of getting to know people and how things run and stuff, and being criticized for what you wasn't doing, how can you relate that to being observational and having to go in and try to get to know people before just going straight to what was going on in El Dorado on the budgets and everything? What can you say about that part, being
Uh,
criticized for your job?
very good question for sure. And I can relate to it on several different levels. First of all, I appreciate you notice in my interaction with the public. That's something that I've always done. I do want to reiterate that. Long before I became the mayor, I have been a public servant, a worker in the community, the Boys and Girls Club, all different kind of activities, because it's in my heart to do that. I believe that's part of service. Even with that, I paid attention to city government. I've always tried to go to the city council meetings, and I have to back up to about 2006. That's when I first started really working in politics. I worked on Governor BB's first campaign to become governor, and it really opened up my eyes to the importance of not just voting, but really understanding what platforms mean, what they give you the opportunity to do. I saw it from the inside, from a candidate's perspective. And it was the first time that I realized that everybody doesn't take voting as seriously as my family did. You got registered to vote at 18, and that was something that we did as a family. Even with that much information, I didn't understand how important it was to really do your research on different things. So becoming the mayor, that was something that, although I knew what the mayor did to a great degree, having now sitting in this seat, I see a lot more of how things were actually being run. Um, Being criticized for not knowing, that's part of the job, because you don't get as much on the job training as you would think. I didn't have the previous mayor to show me where things were, what to do. I shared when we did the forum that I didn't get the key from him until the day I was sworn in. I did have some previous mayors talk to me about some of the things that they found, but it's still different. It's still different when you don't know all of the day to day. So being criticized for it is something that you actually need to look to happen. You know, if it's something that you've never done before, you know you're going to make some mistakes. The only thing that I won't say is hurts my feelings, because you can't wear your feelings on your sleeve either. But one of the things that's kind of disheartening is that some people have not taken the time to really know the facts before they criticize. I think that's what's important. That's one of the things that I think is very important in this position, is to make sure that people understand the processes and the procedures. I had to take accountability for some of the things that I listen to people about instead of really finding out for myself. But it put me in a position now to where I have to go get it for myself. I can't depend on other people to tell me, especially people that I depended on previously, who have shown me that my demise was basically what they were planning for. So that's something that you have to be in line with. That's something that you have to know is going to happen. You're going to be criticized, especially when you're in a public position. They say the higher you go, the better aim people have on you. But I'm grateful. Even with that, I'm grateful to be able to be in this position, because some people who have been criticizing have started to do their own research, and now they know the facts.
That's what's up. Do you think that plays a big job in, like, now these days, from dealing with this social media? You know, like, people can write
Mm-hmm.
stuff that don't even know if it's true or not, or don't even
Mm-hmm.
know the behind the scenes. What can you say
Right.
about having this job with this social media world, and what it does to people that don't know their facts?
So I will say social media is a great platform. Let me just say that off the top. Social media has helped me, just like right now, get to people that I probably wouldn't be able to touch otherwise. But social media doesn't always fact check. You know, you if you've been on here long enough to know that they'll post somebody has died. Well, you do the research, you find out they're still living. So you have to do the research even with that. That's why it's very important for me to share documentation. Anything that I say, I want to make sure that I have the documentation for that. I'm not I'm not prone to just believe everything that I see, but social media is a right now type thing. People feel like if it's on there, it's got to be the truth. If the internet said it, it's got to be the truth. So that's something that we have to get away from. We have to get beyond the fact where we believe everything we see and take everything at face value. We have to do the research to make sure that it's true.
That's what's up. Uh, I'll ask you, how challenging has it been with backlash and negativity from having a family that have to watch what you go through, is dealing with the city from the criticism and all that? What can you say about having a family with all this? How challenging has it been?
It's more challenging for my husband. I've been married for 26 years. Shout out to Bobby D. Creer Sr. That's my husband.
That's
Uh,
what's
to my
up.
to my daughter Vashalia Creer. they both live in the state. Now, our two sons, they live in Texas, so they don't see it as much. But my daughter is the baby, and she has a lot of her mother in her. So she has the tendency sometimes to, I think the term is clap back. Her clapback is a little
Yeah,
different
yeah.
than mine because she can take things more personally than I do. I realize that in this position, you're gonna get it. It's part of it. People are gonna share how they feel, but it doesn't mean that it doesn't hurt. Especially for her to see her mother have to go through things, for my husband to see his wife have to go through things. So it's more personal for them sometimes than it is for me because I'm in it, and I have to be honest when I say that as a woman of God, I know where my faith lies. And I'm not dismissing my husband or my daughter, they do too. But it's hard sometimes to see what other people say and how other people feel pointed to somebody that you love. So it's harder for them. It's a lot harder for them. So we have to have our little meetings sometimes. Sometimes I have to call my daughter. A couple of times I've asked her to take down her comment. A couple of times I've asked my husband not to say anything, but I understand it. I know how I would feel if it were my mother. I know how I would feel if it were my husband. So, it's hard. It's hard, but God, but God. So we have to stay prayerful. We have to understand that everybody does not feel the same way. And so people have a right to their opinion, especially on this platform. I've said it before, it's a public platform. When I put something out there, people may not always agree and they have their opinion, but don't confuse an opinion with a fact because I'm coming with the facts.
That's what's up. Uh, will the communication get better out there with the street department and the water company on, cleaning ditches and fixing roads? What's the plan on staying on top of things that's being unattended, overdue, or need to be fixed? Or will you think going out the cheap way to try to save money for the city sometimes be the problem?
So
And
I'm sorry, go ahead.
what do you say about that part right there on the communication from them departments right there, the street department and the water company?
So let me just be totally transparent about that whole question. When the council took over administrative duties of the public works director on December 10th, 2020, ultimately they took over the public works department. I will say again, I had to point that out to them. That was not their desire nor the design. So they've moved forward in actually taking over that department. There are eight of them. So that's eight different ways of thinking. That's eight different people you have to contact. They have yet to put in a process. Um, you still can call Public Works, but ultimately people called me when they felt like they weren't getting through to Public Works. So now you have eight people that you need to call. That diminishes a good line of communication right there. So as long as they are still over Public Works until they put in a process, communication is not going to get better. People are still calling City Hall for public works questions, concerns, or issues. And that's not the way it should be. If the council was going to take over that department, they should have first put a plan in place for the community, the city to understand how that plan was supposed to work. It's not enough to say call public works because that's what people were doing initially. And if they had a problem, they felt like they could come to the mayor, not just me, any mayor. That's what the process has been. So when they changed the power, so to speak, they didn't put a process in place. And that's confusing. It's confusing to them because they don't know what they're doing. And I'm not trying to be ugly. I'm just being honest. You can talk to any of them. The ones who want it, they still haven't said that they will put a process in place. It's almost been 2 years. Mr. McGee and Mr. Rooks have both spoken against it, but they're still getting calls because the council is over the public works department. I cannot say that some things are not being done because the city is taking the cheap way out. I do believe that for the most part, most of the departments are trying to work the best way that they can. But again, if the community doesn't have the voice that it should, they're not going to be solutions. They're going to continue to be issues. So, I continue to try to give a platform to people with the city council meetings, but it's not enough if those things are not being lined out. We should have a clear process in place for everything. That's one of the things that we were trying to work on before the department was moved. And I just have to be honest. out of any of the council members, I have yet to get an explanation as to why they wanted to be over the public works director, ultimately over the public works department. Nobody has the audacity, I guess, to tell the truth about why they did it. Nobody has come forward to say how they feel like it's going to be beneficial. You know, after they took over, about 8 months later, they moved the public works department out of City Hall. So now that's a different thing that people have to deal with. So things have not been made better, and communication is not going to be better if the people who wanted the no, they didn't want the responsibility, they wanted the power. If those people who wanted the power won't take responsibility. So communication will not be better until there is a process put in place. And I'm
Do
hoping
you,
and
you
praying
think that
that it will
plays a
happen.
big part in it, on getting a better communication on, knowing what people like job titles is
Hmm.
sometimes based upon having meetings and getting everybody to show up at the meetings? Because I understand you saying something about have to be 5 people sometime involved to be to make a meeting. You feel me? What
Right.
can you say about people showing up when it's time to do meetings other than making excuses and don't want to answer phone backs or they always want to send you the voicemail when it's time to do meetings? What can you say about making 5 people actually being able to pick up the phone or be at a meeting at all times? What can you say about that?
So I'm glad you pointed that out because we have to have a quorum of at least five council members to have a meeting. Without that, the only thing we can do is set the next meeting. A lot of people don't understand that in September we did not have a city council meeting. What can I do about that? Very little. As the mayor, people have to understand that I'm not the boss of the council members, nor are they the boss of me. But who is our boss is the people. The people are our boss. I'm not sure how many people have contacted our council members to share with them the fact that they're upset. I'm not sure how many people have called the council members and shared with them that they want to put something in place or that they need to put something in place. I've looked for the outrage of people who have continuously not been able to get things done because of the mismanagement of that whole department, and I've not seen it. Even if you can't come to the meeting, if you can't, as a citizen, if you can't come to the meeting, know who your council representatives are because you hold them responsible. As the people, we're the ones that hold elected officials responsible, and we have the power to do that. And I'm saying we because I'm a citizen as well. I shared in the month of October that Councilman Williamson and Councilwoman Ward didn't show up. They're the council members from my ward. We had no representation. So all of us should be outraged about that. And that's why I've been very vocal about how things are because the citizens have to be vocal. Why can't they come to a, as a council member? That is part of their responsibility. And as a council member, they were the ones that decided from going from to one. So now you've also already minimized how many times we're going to meet in those meetings, one meeting a month. So that, yes, the public should be outraged with that. There is no way that we can take care of the business of this city without meeting, without having those discussions, and without coming to a conclusion of a solution that's going to be beneficial. I've yet to have the finance chair, Mr. Vance Williamson. He's the finance committee chair. They've not met. We're in November. We meet next week. They haven't met. In the October meeting, we were discussing the funding that we got from the federal government for the COVID-19 for our employees. He was the council member that made the decision to change how that was going to be allocated. He wasn't here to speak on that. He has not called a meeting. It has been 3 weeks. So, yes, the public, the constituents, the people of this city have to hold all of us responsible. So, accountability is important. If I'm here as the mayor, what's keeping them from being here? So yeah, the city has a voice. They need to use it, whether they can be at the meeting or not. Call your representatives. Let them know how you feel. It's important.
That's what's up. I was trying to tell you, I didn't know how to tell you. Your voice kind of robot a little bit on your
Oh, I'm sorry.
signal wise, but
Okay.
I'm just letting you know. But I go back in. I'll try to bust it out as much as I can.
Okay.
But you put some good points in there on that. them being responsible and accountable when they don't make the means and all that, and stop putting that on you when and like time go by, you don't know. Like you say, it's next week, it's
Hmm.
election, and
Oh
you
yeah.
know, like I said, um, on that part of what you were saying about that when people don't make the means and like they put everything at a standstill. Um, is it more of just one ward doing that, or it's on everybody? How they hold accountable if stuff have to be getting done and they ain't doing it the same way? Like if they in charge of like over who fixing the ditches and or like the water company sometime, how do they power turn out in that on people not showing up at meetings and people not being involved? Because you know it's on the wall. Certain wards can tell certain people how to manage. Did Ward 3 have more power over that circumstance back then, or Ward 3 now just getting a voice over that? Because I'm
So
trying to see
so
how that
ulti-
goes.
so let's not dismiss the departments themselves. Under Public Works, you have the street department, you have recycling, you have the trash and sanitation. All of those departments fall under Public Works, and they have supervisors and workers that fall in each one of those departments. Even at the water company, you have meter readers, you have those that are on the water side and on the sewer side. All of both of those departments fall under the Public Works director. So there are people that fall under him that should be taking care of the day to day. I'm not trying to dismiss any of those workers, any of those employees. But what I'm saying is ultimately, when people feel like things aren't being done, if they call the public works department, there's usually somebody over them that they can get to. And traditionally that's been the mayor. So now that's been kind of taken out of the people's hands to really understand what's going on because they don't know always who to call if they're to call the council members. As far as a particular ward having certain power, each ward has two representatives, and that's in each ward of the city. We have four wards, so there are two representatives in each ward. No ward should have more power over the other. And if we're technical about it, every ward in the city has areas where they've been underserved. Every ward in this city. So we can't say so much that Ward 3, doesn't have power or should have power. Each ward has two voices at the table, but they are supposed to be representing the voices of that ward, if I'm just clear on that. Also, as far as um, anybody having more power, as far as that's concerned, what we have to look at, and this is where the votes matter. When you mention Ward 3 not having power, you know that, and I'll say this again because it's just the facts. Ward 3 is the only ward in this city that has elected minority representation. Now, Ward 1 now does with Mr. Vartinian, but he was appointed because Mr. Bland resigned. That is the only ward. And so people sometimes look at people that look like them to represent them. Mr. McGee has served on the council for almost 20 years. And for whatever reason, no matter what ward people lived in, if they were African American, they thought he was their council member. Even as being the Ward 3 council representative, or any other ward for that matter, you represent the people. It doesn't necessarily have to be the people that live in your ward. I live in Ward 2 before I became the mayor, and even since I am the mayor. If there is an issue, I should be able to call any of the council members to let them know that there's an issue, especially since they've taken over the public works department. So it really shouldn't matter. But power lies in the vote. Now, if there are 6 against 2, where it has come to be a lot of times, that's where the power lies. The power lies in the majority. So, as far as having a voice, there are two voices for each ward, but the voice of the citizens should be the voice that's heard. So you have to keep in contact with your council representatives because when they come to the table to vote, they're supposed to be voting your interests, not theirs. And that's not where we are as a city. So I don't want to dismiss what happens beyond the council because there should be something in place for your water. If there's an issue with that, for your streets, if there's an issue with that, the council comes in over what the mayor used to do to try to call attention if there was an issue that was not being handled on that level. if that makes sense. I hope that clears that up a little bit.
Yeah, because some people we don't even be knowing who our alderman is out there sometimes. And
Yeah.
that plays a big part on what power do they hold with the city council? What part do the aldermen play out there that are elected in the city?
So your council members are the ones that vote. They're the ones that vote on resolutions. They're the ones that vote on ordinances. They're the ones that vote on things that need to be done. As simple as the street closure. If they're going to have a parade or something like that, they vote on that. They vote on the resolutions that actually put laws in place for the city. This was the one that came up a lot when I first got elected about basketball goals being in the streets. Those are ordinances that have been put in place by the council. Cars being parked on your grass, how many cars you can have in your yard, cars not being parked on the street, the fireworks ordinance or resolution. Those things are voted on by the council. So you need people that are thinking about all the constituents, not just a few, because that's where the vote comes in. If there's a tie, that's when the mayor gets an opportunity to vote, only in the event of a tie. So normally, the mayor is not required to vote, but those are the cases when they do. So the representatives, your council members, are very important. Currently, Ward 1 has Michael Rice, who's up for re-election and does have an opponent, David Hurst. Avo Vartinian, who is not up for the position. He lost in the primary against Frank Hash. The election now will be between Frank Hash and Laquita Rainey. Ward 2 is Vance Williamson. He does not have an opponent. He's the finance chair who's not shown up. Judy Ward, she does have an opponent, Mr. Jacarlis Hill. Ward 3, Mr. Willie McGee, he does not. Galloway. I'm sorry. Can you hear me now?
Yeah, you were freezing up a little bit.
Okay. Currently, Andre Rooks, but Bishop Calloway won in the primary. So in January, he'll be taking over. In Ward 4, Paul Choate, who's running for council, but Buddy McAdams has won his seat. He'll be taking over. I mean, he's running for mayor. Paul Choate is running for mayor. But Buddy McAdams will have that seat in January. And Diane Hammond, who's also running for re-election. Kenzel Spivey Green and Patrick Frazier are running for that position as well. So those are your representatives who are in place. And all of their numbers, I can share those so that you can get that information. But those are the people who you should be calling with issues, period. Because if you live in their ward, they're supposed to be your number one, your first line of defense, because they live in the ward with you. Because you can only vote for aldermen that live in your ward. If you live in Ward 2, you can only vote for those aldermen. If you live in Ward 3, you can only vote for them. Now, anywhere in the city, you can vote for the mayor, for the city attorney, and for the city clerk. But for the ward positions, you have to live in that ward.
Oh, okay. So you have to live in the ward to vote for the ones that's in your ward for the representation of that ward. All right.
Right.
I'm going to go situation on what's the hold up on unsolved crime in the city and why certain crimes get thrown on the back burner, like missing people, and how can people get more help about missing teens or how to reach local? What's the hold up for missing people and crimes in the area out there? What be the representation of unsolved crimes?
So let me say this, even as far as being the mayor, I'm not over the police department. I don't have anything to do with the day-to-day of the police department or the fire department. Traditionally, by the municipal league, the fire chief and the police chief and the public works director are placed under the mayor's administration. Here in El Dorado, we have a civil service commission, and they're more or less in charge of like the fire department or the police department. They appoint the chiefs. If there's an issue, many times with conduct or reprimands, that goes through the civil service. Now, the council and the mayor can appoint or reappoint members to that board, to the Civil Service Commission. I wanted to put that out there first. So the mayor doesn't have any say so on which crimes they lean on more. I want to say what I do know, what I have been told, because my number one contact is with the chiefs. I don't talk to the officers about their day-to-day. I don't have anything to do as far as telling them what they should be working on. That's not my place as the mayor. But I do talk to both the chiefs. As far as crime, people really have to be educated on those processes as well, because there are some things, even with the evidence that the police can have, you have to get to the enforcement of it through the judicial system. Now, as far as crimes not being solved, and I've heard, people's ideas and people's complaints on that, but one of the things that I have heard, and I'm only saying heard because that's not something that I have full facts on. Many things that the chief and I talk about is confidential, so I can't share anyway. But there is many times a lack of communication from the community. I did read some comments where, and I won't call his name, but if he's watching, he'll know who I'm talking about, where good detective work has a part in that as well. Getting to the people and talking to the people. I can't speak to how that's done, because I don't know what people are saying. I don't know what those actual facts are with that. I'll just have to say, as far as the police department, I think sometimes we need to know how things actually work, but cooperation is needed. It's always needed to solve a murder, a missing person. People have to get involved. I don't think, and I'm just saying this is my opinion at this point, and I hate to do that, but I'm, to a degree, from what I hear, some people don't have as much confidence as they should with giving information. I'm not sure where that comes from. I'm not sure why that happens. But if the community and the police department don't find a way to work better with each other, it's always going to be an issue. I can't say where more of that responsibility lies, because I feel like it should be equal. As far as crime is concerned, we have a responsibility as citizens to raise children, to make sure that they know the right and wrong. That's a responsibility of ours. But we also, when people pick that profession, there's a lot that comes with that as well. So I really can't say how things are fielded out, what kind of cases take priority for the police department. That would be more of a police chief question than for me, and I wouldn't dare try to answer something that I don't have a better understanding of. I just think that's one of those situations. And as far as my conversations with him, I know that even with evidence, it has to be something that they can present that they feel will carry enough weight to move a case forward. And sometimes that's not the case. But again, I don't want to speak to something that I'm not 100% knowledgeable of. But I feel like that would be a good question for the police chief.
I understand what you're saying too, because even though it should be half and half, and I feel like with that too, far as, we get up in age, and, even though being on the force, having, what I'm saying, what part of some things, and that's basically a lot of this in that area is based upon communication.
Mm-hmm.
Some communication updated, some communication outdated, basically.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? And to make our city better, we gonna have to communicate better on all levels and all circumstances, and no matter who's up next and who dealing with. What can you say about the sale tax out there and the taxes that's going up? 1 minute it's down, next minute it's up, and next minute this and that gotta pay for this, and next thing the grocery sale tax might be up. How do that works in our city having a better budget with that sometime, or order just one set of some things have to pay for one thing? What can you say about that? Because the
So
sales tax be killing all of us.
So I will say this: the sales tax doesn't go up and down. It's steady until it's voted to change. What we do have here in El Dorado is that 1 cent sales tax that was voted in. That is still in play. They it sunsetted and they re-enlisted it. Before, it was the El Dorado Economic Development Board, and that tax, now it's the El Dorado Works Board tax. So that's a tax that the city voted on putting into play. When you talk about different things, paying for different things, that tax is one of them, because the El Dorado Works tax can pay or can fund different things. There's a pie chart that lets you know, it can pay for improvement, it can pay for, there's even a miscellaneous. It is allocated to different things, like the Murphy Arts District has gotten funding, different projects have gotten funding, like the streets, they got funding from that El Dorado Works tax. But there, when you look at the budget, different line items. I'll just use my budget, for example. There's a line item for salaries, so that has to cover my staff. That line item does not pay for publication. So there are different line items that pay for different things. And when the budget is set, that's what it's supposed to do. Now, there are times when the budget has to be amended because maybe we overspent from one area and didn't spend as much in another. But as far as sales tax, it stays consistent. There's also the tax that's used for the advertising and promotion. That's the A&P. That tax comes from the sales tax that we generate from the hotels. So that tax is also used in people who are putting on, like the Murphy Arts District again, Main Street El Dorado, the Symphony, different organizations come before that board to ask for money to allocate for different things. So there are different taxes that the city has that pay for different things. Each department has a budget. Fire department has a budget. The police department has a budget. The public works department has a budget. The golf course has a budget. The airport has a budget. So different things are allocated to do different things here in the city. The budget for the streets, that's what that budget is supposed to be allocated to. And that's one of the things that people may not all understand, especially when streets need to be overlaid. It costs millions of dollars to do that. So it's not chump change for streets to be overlaid, but that money has to be there. That money has to be there to make sure that the city is able to do it. But I will say this, it's important to know that your streets are being taken care of. That's one of the things that when I got elected, that was one of the biggest things that people were concerned about. And there is a lot of street work being done, but I'll say this, until it's your street, people really don't care about how much work is being done, but it has to be allocated. Those things are allocated. So no change in the sales tax, but it is there. But that tax is usually generated by the state, or because there's a state sales tax, but there's also the responsibility of the city with the tax that we have. And I see that there was a question. Is it the responsibility of law enforcement to do necessary police work to both
I'll let you read that. I can't read this.
They do. So I will agree with that. I will agree with that, Ms. Allen, and it is. And that's why I say it's on both. It's on both sides. That relationship has to be there, and that's why I said, from what I see and from what I hear, some people don't have the confidence that they should. And hopefully this will start some more communication, because the police department has to be, I want to say, seen by everyone. Much as any elected official, the police department has to be seen. People have to develop a trust. So I will say that there is some responsibility on their side as well. Again, I just didn't want to speak too much to that from my position. I feel like it's a good dialogue to start, even with our police department, with our police chief, because I think that there is a breakdown in that communication for people really understanding with their word, if they have information, how far that will go. Some people have information that they don't want to take. They want somebody to come and get it. And I understand that as well. So there's some responsibility on both ends. And I think that communication, when we were growing up, we used to go through, I think it was the DARE program, where the police officers would come to the school, and you knew that the police officers were supposed to be your friend. A lot of things have changed over the years. So I think that relationship really needs to be worked on. I agree with that.
I understand that. What can you say about how the young voters and the old voters, what's available for people to get out to vote? What is it in the transportation gonna be running for people to go vote? Where would they be able to vote at these days? Where can you go vote? Do they have to come to you? What's the best out of people voting, from the young to the old?
So let me say this, early voting started on October the 24th. We're still in the early voting stage. Election day is next Tuesday. Transportation is being provided. I've shared some numbers. I will share some more. I have about 3 numbers of people who have given me their numbers to share. I will share that again, because transportation is being provided. There are people that are working in the neighborhoods that got people registered to vote. They're making sure that those people have transportation to get out and vote. Of course, I would love for people to vote for me, but that is not my biggest concern. My biggest concern is that people get out and vote. I'm not the only person on the ballot. We have other positions that are up, governor, all the way down to us here in the city. So everybody needs to get out and vote. I will say that I've heard from both young and old that they don't feel like their vote counts. That's discouraging. When we see the time that we're living in, everybody votes count. Everybody vote. I mean, we need everyone to get out and vote. It's hard to explain to people what you're doing if you don't vote, because that means you're putting the responsibility of someone else, you're putting that in their hands for them to take care of you. And people need to understand, when you don't vote, when things happen, you kind of lost your voice if you don't vote. So I've heard it on both sides. I've heard the urgency and the desire and the drive from both sides of people getting out to vote, because for whatever reason, I think our younger generation, many of them can see it a little bit better than us, um, that it's important. But then people my age, I still understand the privilege and the honor, the fact that our ancestors fought, bled, and died for us to have this privilege. So getting out to vote is very important. And you need to know who's running. You need to know what those positions allow them to do. You need to know people's platforms. I've been sharing and sharing and sharing about my position, because there's a lot of rhetoric out there. There are a lot of lies being told. And it's unfortunate that when people don't know, they'll believe what looks good. And so that's been very important, is for people to understand you need to know what these positions allow you to do. You need to know these people that are trying to get in these positions, and what their ultimately what their motives are. So I've seen it on both ends, but we are, again, transportation is being provided. Absentee ballots is also a way to vote, but it has so many steps that if there's any way that you can get out and vote, you really should do that, instead of, because an absentee ballot has to be mailed to you, you have to mail it back, it has to be mailed back out to you for you to fill out, you have to mail it back. You'll run the risk of missing something. But it's better if you can. I know some people need that absentee ballot, but if you can physically get out and vote, that is the best thing to do.
I salute you on that. What can you say about? I'm gonna go one place myself on this saying, in a position where, do you think it's a clout voting thing going on sometime when it comes to who people go invest in and what they go invest their money in, due to who more of a who win, like, because some places you go and it be more considered to the rich get richer and the poor get poorer type stuff,
Mhm.
just like the streets get richer and the poor streets get poor. What can you say about that clout chasing on who do it? If that plays a big part on who go get something done for them first all the time before they want to know how they go cast their vote out there? Because I don't know how they go. If it's supposed to be more important, why we can't just pull it together and have more communication? What can you see was lacking communication at the more in this election right now?
The low, I apologize for that. I got 10%. Um, Unfortunately, what you're saying is not just rhetoric, it's true. We know that influence is something that is prevalent everywhere. The old saying is not what you know, it's who you know. That's still true. The only thing is that we can all know. And that's where we are right now. All of us have the opportunity to know. And that's why we need people of integrity in these positions, so that they don't become positions, or don't remain positions of power, but are positions of service like they should be. There are people that, if you know something, um, if you know a person that has the clout, if you know that person firsthand, even if you're looking for a job, sometimes people skip the interview process. They can go straight to the person in charge because they know them. So that still, unfortunately, plays a part in the situation. That having that clout, and being able to go to someone. I wanted to read this question with respect. It should be your desire that people. Okay, and you're absolutely right. And I appreciate that, Miss Allen, and I do agree. And but I do, of course, I do want people to vote for me, because I want people to have a person of integrity. And you're right, my opponents don't have a problem of saying all kinds of things for a vote. I do want to make sure that people understand who's running, who's running. I I'm just not of I can't I can't get I don't even know how to say it how I want to say it. Of course, I do want people to vote for me. I want people to understand what this position entails. And you're absolutely right. There is an urgency. There is an urgency to this. And I guess I should be a little bit more, um, I should stress it more. I do want people to vote for me for the obvious reasons. Things have happened to me in this position that I know has never happened before for obvious reasons. So you're absolutely right. I do want people to vote for me. I do want people to vote for me for the reason that I believe there's unity. There could be unity. People do need to vote for someone who will have their best interests at heart. I pray that I've shown that. I pray that I continue to be able to do that. So I appreciate you. Yes, ma'am. I do want people to vote for me. But yes, but back to your question. Yes, we're still in that position where people have been even in these positions so long that they consider them positions of power. So people can call them and get things done. And that's not the way it should be. And that's why I think it's so important, even as the mayor's position, that public works position is put back where it should be, so that cloud doesn't play a part in it, that everybody gets the service across the board. And I dare say that was a part of making that change, is because when things stay the same, they stay the same.
I understand that. And that was my next question, what Miss Allen was asking, because I was asking, what was your plan 2020? You know what I'm saying? On that part of voting, and I just say being reelected, because like I say, you have to have someone that's in tune with the people, that's been in tune with the people, that's interacted with the people already. Only thing is, when it comes to being, like I was saying, with the observation, is clamping down harder now, based upon you gave people the chance to get to meet you, chance to get to know you. But as I've seen you, I see that you've been transparent about your work, transparent about your research. You go get your research and you learn what's going on in each department before you make a voice about it, and you break down on what people specifically what they can do, other than just saying it. Oh, I can do this, do that, but don't nothing ever get done. And
Mm-hmm.
I salute you for being able to say all that and do that at the same time, because that's what it's about. And show interacting with the people in all races, black, white, Hispanic. You're not leaving nobody out in these races too. I expect everybody to look at that transparency, not just being one-sided race, learning how to work with all races out there. So I commend you on that, and I commend you how you take steps up and you research everything before you decide to put your opinion on something. And even though the backlash should always come from people that don't never want to say, well, who said it? Oh, they saying it. Man, tell me who said it. Let
Who
me know
said it?
who said something. Stop putting it. If you can't put a name on the backlash, and you can't tell me who it said, I want to go to the person saying it.
Right.
I don't want to
Right.
go to the person that said it. You know what I'm saying? And that plays a part in staying in tune with the people out there. But I salute you out there. What is your plans on as time go by with this election, and who you plan on, you know what I'm saying, on people just stepping up, period, out there? What can you see for 2023 for plans out there for the city? I'm
I
going to
do
call
see,
it.
thank you. I do see more people being supportive. I definitely see that. And I think it goes with being informed. I think we've realized that we can't just sit back and expect for our needs to be met if we don't use our voice and make sure that we're using our voice in the right places. I said before, that talk on the parking lot and in the barbershop and all that is good, but you need to come to the place where decisions are actually being made and making sure that you're sharing your voice there. I think that I've given people enough information, but that is not going to stop. I guarantee that, so that they understand how important it is for citizens to get involved. You play a very important part in city government. So I'm hoping, I'm praying, I'm believing God that we're going to get people in these positions of service moving forward, that we can put some things in order. that have been out of order for years, because it needs to be an across the board thing. We need to be able to say that there is one El Dorado. I said before, there are too many underserved communities in this city, period. And a lot of that has come from conditioning. People didn't know, people didn't ask, people felt like they were supposed to be content with what they got. I've even heard people say that people in certain areas pay more taxes than them. That's why they enjoy more of the amenities of the city. Everybody pays taxes. So everybody should be able to enjoy the amenities that this city has to offer. So I want to see more cooperation, working together, people really understanding that their voice does matter just as much as your vote. So I'm looking forward to that. We've started some things here under my administration that I want to see flourish. Time clocks is one thing that we've talked about and we started, but that process needs to be worked out. An employee handbook update. That's something that I'm looking forward to, because that's something that is needed. People actually understanding what the legislative audit means and the pieces that go to that, and all of the issues that play into that. There are some things that people need to understand with that. So just more information. I think that educating people on processes and procedures is still something that I have to continue to do in this position. But beyond that, there's some things that have been wrong for so long that will have to be made right. And I'm looking forward to that fight.
That's what's up. Miss Veronica Creer, I salute you out there. And I really salute you how you give the old back they flowers, the ones that was in them spots and businesses and all that at the ages we were growing up, and
Yeah,
they still holding it down. And I salute you for giving people their flowers back as they while they're alive at that.
I
You know what I'm
appreciate that.
saying?
I appreciate that.
And I want to just commend you and stay on your journey, and you know what I'm saying, stay with the city. Everybody saluting you, still behind you out there. And much
Thank
love.
you.
Like I say, man, come on anytime, man. I think you get the people what they want to hear back. I think this the more we probably learn about a mayor and what to do and all that. Since you been it up. Just
I think it
so I'm gonna
is.
give
And I'm
you
being
this.
so honest. Yes, sir.
I'll give you
I
that.
appreciate you. I really do.
For
I
real.
appreciate those of you who had questions and comments. And you mentioned about me saluting those that went before me. I want to continue to salute people like Mr. Wendell Holden, Mr. Jimmy Reed, Mr. Tony Henry. I want to continue to salute them because those gentlemen played a part in being the first. They were some of the first to serve on this council. Mr. Willie McGee, who continues, Mr. Andre Rooks, who's been a voice for the people as well. I have to commend Ms. Kinsel Spivey Green. She was the first African American woman to serve on the council. She's running again. I will say this, she gave me my courage to run for mayor, because I'll say this, I thought that she might run. And if she was going to run, I was going to support her. But we are in an age now in 2022 where we're still having first from our community. There's a lot more we can do, y'all. But I appreciate those who had the courage to step out on something that they couldn't see so that we could be all that we could be. So I appreciate them.
That's what's up. That's what's up. Yeah, y'all tuned in. South Arkansas Trill Talk 111. Tuned in with Mayor Veronica Smith-Creer. Shit, up for re-election out there. Y'all get out and vote, man. And the
Please.
young and the old, man, get involved and get in tune with your city, your county, your state, whatever, man. And I salute you. Keep supporting the kids everywhere you go. I love
Yes,
that
sir.
about you. You know what I'm
Yes, sir.
saying?
Yes,
Take care
sir.
out there. Much love.
Much love to
All
y'all.
right.
Thank y'all.
All right.